What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Be Fck'n For Real Sunday Sound Off. I'm Miss Megan Liana with the unfiltered takes and unapologetic truths. And like every week, it just be a gang of shit going on. And we about to just dive right in and just get straight to the shit, okay? Now, one of the big stories this week was this T app, okay? And the T app is basically an app where women get to spill tea, right? And they spill the tea off about men that they're dating. Now, the app was created to keep women safe, right? Now, the last week the app went viral because, men were finding out they were getting talked about on that app. And somehow, some way, the tea spilled and there was a data breach, all right? In that data breach, there were 72,000 images leaked, okay? Including 13,000 selfies and IDs. And when I say IDs, I'm talking about state IDs, right? And that's the problem with these apps. For one, now let me backtrack a little bit. The app owners and developers are saying that although like pictures and IDs were leaked, at least like emails and phone numbers weren't. However, I'd rather my email get leaked than my fucking driver's license information along with my selfie that people could validate with. And the problem is that y'all be too willing to give your information to these apps, right? Now, I don't understand how. Now, the app has been on the App Store since 2022. Now, a software engineer created this app because his mother got catfished and he wanted to find a way to help women. However, in wanting to help women, in the 3 years that app has been developed, not once did he think about helping women keep their information safe. Like, that's how easy the app was able to be hacked. And this is why I personally never give my information to an app. I never upload my identification as something that's an app. Because for one, you don't know who you're giving this information to. Like, you don't know. Two, why would you trust blindly uploading your data, like your personal data, just to be able to gossip? And yes, I really mean like y'all was just really cackling on that app gossiping because and I've seen Facebook groups, right? Like Facebook groups where they're like, do we know him? Are we dating the same guy? And I've been in some of those groups and I honestly always leave because it just begins to feel like jilted lovers are just mad that either they got played or that, they found out the guy they were talking to, like they weren't the only one he was dating. And I personally, I don't believe in putting people's personal information online, like putting them on blast. If you played me, you played me. I'm not about to sit here and tell the whole internet why, because I just may not be the one for you. And if the app was following its true intentions, right, of okay, this is just to help women, track abusers or track, former rapists or, sexual offenders. I get that. But at the end of the day, that's what the the sexual offender registry is for people like that. Now, granted, you can't know if somebody has a past of domestic violence, unless if you do background check on them. However, if you're gonna go on one of these apps to see if like the person you're dating is on that app, you might as well run a background check on that person, and it costs like $3 without having to give up your personal information. And I think that this is like a valuable lesson in being mindful in what you engage in, right? Because you're engaging in being messy. You're engaging in an app and you're posting pictures of these men. You're posting pictures, you're posting their, personal information. And, I'm not going to say some of y'all deserve that data leak, like your information to be leaked, but, you fuck around with mess, you're going to get involved in messy shit. And I don't understand why someone didn't consider the fact that out of all these angry men in the world, all these angry incels, that are smart as fuck and easily hack things, why did they think that app was safe enough to not get hacked? It was dumb. And, if the shoe was on the other foot, right? Like, and women found out that men had an app and men were posting their pictures and their personal information and all that other stuff, a lot of women would be pissed about that. And so I think, apply that same method, because when it all boils down, maybe I'm like an out of sight, out of mind person, but I don't want to know immediately like the past dirt of someone that I'm talking to or dating. I don't want to know how they did the last bitch before me. I don't want to know how they did, 2 girlfriends ago. I don't know what they was doing before me, because number one, they with Big Mama now, and that's not my problem. And number two, everybody has like a different experience with a person, right? And so just because this person played you, doesn't mean that they're gonna play somebody else. And just because somebody, didn't play you doesn't mean they won't play the next person. So I think, these apps are these groups, they're counterproductive to the purpose. And I think they kind of end up ruining the whole dating scene. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Mind your business, enjoy who you're dating, and just don't put your fucking personal info to an app that you don't know how secure they are. Be smart. It was a lot of people that died this week, right? I'm not laughing at the fact that a lot of people died, but when they say death comes in 3 with celebrities, this was a week of 3s. It was Ozzy Osbourne that passed away, Malcolm Jamal Warner that passed away, which is just a tragic death. And then there was another person that passed away, and Hulk Hogan, right? His death really sparked a lot of debate because he has a horrible legacy. Hulk Hogan was a racist. He said racist shit. He did racist shit. And he was okay with being a racist, right? And he was also a horrible person in other ways. And, people were saying you shouldn't speak bad of the dead, and you should honor his legacy. And it really made me wonder, why is it wrong to speak on the dead in a horrible way if they did horrible things? Is there a grace period before you can talk about the horrible shit somebody did when they were living? I don't think there is. And if we're going to look back to, the racist remarks, right? And I have a quote for what he said, okay? And it was when a sex tape was leaked, and he was talking to, the girl he was screwing at the time, and it got on tape. And what he said was, I quote, and he was talking about his daughter Brooke sleeping with a black guy, and it was, I don't know if Brooke was fucking the black guy's son. I mean, I don't have double standards. I mean, I am a racist to a point, fucking niggers, hard R. But then when it comes to nice people and shit, and whatever. And then he says, I mean, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some nigger, I'd rather have her marry an 8-foot tall nigger worth $100 million. Like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking nigger. Like that's what he said. That was what he thought about, you know, black people, and especially a black person screwing his daughter. And when that came out, that was actually part of the reason why he was fired. I don't even want to say fired, maybe like let go from the WWE, or it was WCW at the time. But I think it was actually WWE, and he was wiped out from their Hall of Fame. But, you know, another thing, and that was like maybe 10 years ago, another racist thing that he did was he, when he had, it was last year or 2 years ago, and he had, you know, an event with his beer, and there were brand ambassadors that were called to like give samples of the products. And 2 of the brand ambassadors were black, and it was about 3 other white girls. Basically, the black girls were told the event was done, because it was like a 3-day event. The black girls were told the event was over, and then they brought in like 2 more white girls to replace the black girls the remainder of the weekend. So it's not like, you know, he changed his views after a while towards black people. Like, clearly he only likes, you know, the good ones that are worth a lot of money. It's giving slave master mentality, but I digress. Another thing he did was he fucked over a lot of people within his industry in the WWE. And so one of the main things he did was he fucked over his friend Jesse Ventura. So Jesse Ventura and other wrestlers in the WWE locker room were trying to unionize. They were working for fair compensation, healthcare, and better working conditions. Hulk Hogan went behind Jesse Ventura's back and told Vince McMahon that they were trying to unionize and shut everything down. He also snaked a lot of opportunities for other wrestlers within the industry. So again, it begs the question, if somebody is a horrible person, right? If they're a horrible person in life, what legacy are you supposed to honor in their death, right? Like, at some point, you know, you have to take accountability of being like a good person when you're living. Because if you don't care about the type of person you are when you're living, what do people owe you in death? I don't think people should have to spare somebody's reputation when they're a fucked up person. You know, it's like you don't get to do things in life and then have people protect your legacy for the fuck of it after the fact. You didn't care about your reputation. You were okay with your reputation. You were okay with being a racist. You were okay with fucking people over to get yourself ahead within your industry. If you're okay with being that type of person, I don't think that you deserve the honor of people protecting your legacy. You are who you are. And it's like, people, you have to give a fuck about being a good person when you're on this earth, because nobody owes you shit. And again, if you're okay with being a shitty person in death, your soul should be okay with being talked about horribly. It's pretty simple, you know. And being honest about somebody's fucked up ways is not like celebrating the dead. It's not like celebrating their death. It's not something that, you know, makes you a bad person because you're speaking on what they did. It's just being honest about the truth. And at the end of the day, this should, you know, be a sign that there's no do-overs. You know what I mean? Like, the only do-over you get is when you're reincarnated, right? And that's if some people believe in that shit. But who you are when you're living is what you're going to be known as when you die. If that person didn't give a fuck about being a good person, none of us should give a fuck about honoring the legacy of a good person that was not good. And I don't care how popular that man was when we were kids. And I'm talking up to my millennials and Gen Zers. If you are Black and you are giving that man any type of memorial in his death, he wouldn't have even pissed on fire to put it out on your Black ass. So let's not argue and debate in honoring somebody who intentionally would not give a fuck about you based on the color of your skin. And that's all I have to say about that guy. Now, a story that was popular this week was about a whites-only town that's being built, right? And it was Sky News went to go interview these people. It's a town in Arkansas, and it's for whites only, and they have plans to expand. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really here for it. They have 150 acres of land. They have 40 inhabitants. And it has its own roads, its own cabins, its own wells and water infrastructure. It has its own schoolhouse and its own community center. And they're able to operate because they are a private membership group. And their name is Return to the Land. And they want to represent traditional views and European ancestry, right? And so in that town, there's no Black people, no people of color, no Jews, no gays. And the founder, who's pictured here, his name is Eric Orwell. It's his name gives what needs to be gave. So he is aspiring for an America of the 17th century that is similar to how his colonizing ancestors lived. And for one of the things that stuck out in this compound is that it's a lot of like millennials and Gen Zers, right? There's not a lot of boomers living there, not a lot of like older white people, okay? And I think this shows this trend that we've been seeing of like white nationalism among like younger generations of, you know, white males ranging from ages like 20s to 40s, and even white women, because they do have white women living there too. So, but even when you look at the Jubilee, most recent Jubilee episode with Hassan Mehdi and 20 far right, you know, fascists and conservatives, there is a growing trend in like white nationalism and open racism and a desire to like resegregate shit. And honestly, I think they're onto something. I do. And I've said this before. I really think that we do we could resegregate. I think that we should resegregate. Honestly, I think that Blacks, Hispanics, and all racial groups and people of color should have their own communities. And I think we should commune with each other, share resources amongst each other, and interact with our communities. And I think we should let the white people have their own communities and do their own thing. I think that integration, while I think part of the problem is that as a race, at one point we wanted, the goal was to assimilate and be accepted and be seen as equal with white culture, right? With the white standard. And I think that's happened not just in America, that's happened in a lot of cultures. For example, I remember I saw this story on Vice where in white men get high paid acting jobs in China and Japan and Asian countries because they're seen as such high value that they're paid as an extra to be seen with somebody. So if someone wants to seem important or they need to make it seem like their event is important, they can hire a white actor to show up, play this role of a friend, play this role of a high roller, play this role of a rich guy, and they're seen as valuable because they have this, white person around them. When you think of the colorism that, plagues just every, Latin community when it comes to Afro-Latinas versus white passing Latinos, when you look at the issues in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Mexico and that kind of polarization. When you look at the skin bleaching that happens in a lot of cultures in Jamaica and India, there is this standard of Western European values, right? Or aesthetic that's the standard. And I think that when it came to, I'm not saying we need to go back to Jim Crow, so let's not misconstrue that at all. But I think that in trying to eliminate the Jim Crow laws and wanting to be equal, I think that that's where a lot of the tensions that we're seeing now stem from, because they never wanted us to be equal and they never saw us as their equal. And I think that if we just had accepted that, no telling where we'd be right now, right? And when Obama became president, that was I think the moment where white people were like, oh shit, we gave them too much. I think that's when they were like, oh wow, we gave them too much equality. We gave them too much leverage to think that they're in the same lane as us, and they surpassed us. And it's nothing new. I just think that once a Black man was able to acquire the highest job of the land, I think that's when people were that's when a lot of, Caucasians were like, oh shit, we fucked up. We gotta backtrack. But the thing is that the same way, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, the same way Black people were able to thrive after slavery in our own towns, I believe that we could do that again, and we will do that again. And I think that the same way that these people are creating their town and they're coming together with their resources and they're living off the land, we should be doing that anyway. I think that if we circulated our dollar and our resources amongst ourselves, we'd be all right. And the only thing is that if we do that, and when we thrive, when we do that, I don't want to see another Tulsa massacre. Because let's not forget, the Tulsa, Oklahoma was the Black Wall Street, and they were able to circulate the black dollar. I think it was 7 times within their own community before that black dollar went out of the community to white town. And that was when they got mad and they burned it down. And Tulsa, Oklahoma was not the only town that was taken down by, lynching and mobs of white people that were upset that a black town was thriving. And so I'm not opposed to it. In fact, if we could live in like an all white town, an all black town, like I'd be here for it. And I think that there's a difference in when, because people will try to bring up, the projects or like the ghetto, right? But what people don't understand is that those were red line districts where people of color and Black people, they were given the lowest of the resources. They were given, they were placed in these towns and places where a lot of things were stacked against them. I think if there was an all Black town and, we all came together and put our resources together, I think we would survive just right if we were in power and we were in the control of what we created. And let's be real. If we put a group, if there was a group of YNs with PTSD from growing up in the hood that had to protect our town against a group of some Caucasians that have just been playing drills amongst themselves, we gonna be all right. I'm not concerned at all, but I know who should be. And I think it's not that bad. And, the NAACP and the Attorney General of this Arkansas town are trying to, I don't want to say they're trying to like go against it, but they're trying to find ways to prevent it. And they're trying to find ways to, see, is this illegal? Can it happen? Da, 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 da. And it's like, let it be. Number one, as of now, it's legal because they are a private membership group. And let them have that. In fact, let them set the precedent for that. So that way, when we as Black people and people of color and minorities establish our own, we're just following the law. We're following their same law. And the difference is with us following the law, let's not let them redline our progress, and let's not let them take it. So yeah, I say we let them have it. Let them have it. And another thing that we should, Debo's right here, y'all. My dog. He wants to be on camera, but I can't move the camera so he could be seen. So he is just going to need to move. So Debo, get over here on this side. Come here. You're not gonna move? Okay. Do not mess up my my camera placement and my microphone, please. Okay. This dog. Okay. Another person that really, he gave us a lesson in deflection this week, and I'm kind of here for it. Shout out to number 47, our great dictator in chief. Donald Trump has given us a lesson in deflection. Now, people and his base and everybody, we still want the Epstein files, right? Now, a lot came out this week with the Epstein files that it is proven that, or it was mentioned by his, FBI and department, what's her name, Pam Bondi, that she told him he was in the Epstein files. So in him being in the Epstein files and wanting to, change the subject in the news, this is what Donald Trump had to say this week about it.
And remember, don't let them forget, it's so important, Obama cheated on the election. Look, the camera just went off. Obama, the red light just went off. Can you believe these people, how bad they are? Obama cheated. When they give you all the nonsense, Obama cheated, and his people cheated, but he was there. You ever hear this? They talk about, if they ever even mention it, they never mention his name. Just the opposite with me. But they only mention my name. They don't mention any of you guys. They don't mention Tom. They don't mention Steve. They don't mention our great speaker. They mention Trump all the time. I'd like to have them mention you. But remember this, Obama cheated on the election. And we have it cold, hard, blue, and it's getting even more so because the stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So, and you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate. Just say, oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election. You'll watch the camera turn off instantly.
Now, here's the problem, right? I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about when they kept saying Obama cheated the election. And so I had to kind of backtrack and remember what he was talking about. Because for one, he's talking about the 2016 election that he won, okay? And there wasn't an insurrection to prevent him from taking office and being inaugurated. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But what he is referring to is the Russian interference investigation that was called on by Obama. And they had to do an investigation because it was actually proven that Russia did interfere with our election. And it was a bipartisan review in 2017. And Russia did not interfere with the voting machines, but they did hack the email. So if you remember, the data leak from Hillary Clinton's emails, that was a hack. Remember the data leak from the Democratic National Convention against where they put out, how they weren't going to fund Bernie Sanders' campaign. Then there was also the propaganda campaign influence and how misinformation was spread so widely on Twitter and mainly Facebook. That was done by Russia. So yes, Russia did interfere with the 2016 election. It was proven, and it was proven bipartisanly. Marco Rubio was actually, who is the fucking Secretary of State, he was on one of the committees that reviewed in 2020 that yes, Russia did interfere. There's video of Tulsi Gabbard who also agreed that Russia did interfere. So this whole thing about blaming Obama and this is a coup, it's really just a cover-up. And it is their attempt, the Trump regime attempt to change the narrative of the headlines. And that is what it's about with this regime. It's controlling the narrative of the news. And they want to control the narrative of the news because they want this story to go away about Jeffrey Epstein. They want that story to go away, and it's not. People are not letting up that they want these goddamn files released. And now here's the thing that's pissing me off when it comes to Trump is the amount of disrespect that he is giving to President Obama is I'm sick of it at this point. So like one of the things he posted,
and remember, don't let them forget, it's so important. Obama
on Truth
cheated
Social
on the election. Look, the camera just went off.
Okay, yeah. So one thing that he posted was this picture of President Obama being in the O.J. Simpson. This is like replicating the O.J. Simpson high-speed chase. That's President Obama in the fucking white Bronco. But another thing that he posted that is just really disgusting is this video of Obama being arrested and being placed in jail. And he posted this AI video on Truth Social, and he later deleted it, but look at that smile on his face. But the fact that he would post this when it's like, at the end of the day, the only person out of these two people that has actually been to jail and that actually has a mugshot is this guy right here. So, and this just shows like his issue is Black excellence. Like one thing he said that stuck out in that video, he was like, oh, if you mention Obama, they'll turn the camera off. And it's like, yeah, you're right, because ain't nobody gonna let you talk bad about Obama. Like, you're the felon, one. Two, the eloquence, the class, the dignity, the intelligence that President Barack Obama exudes. Donald Trump can't even represent a fraction of that. No matter how much money he scams and grifts and raises and bullies. See, here's the thing, like, Donald Trump is a bully. So because he's a bully, he gets off on that. Like, he gets off on the mean names, he gets off on the memes, he gets off on the AI shit, he gets off on the jokes, because like that's all he has. He can't even articulate a clear sentence. He can't even articulate a plain point with a thesis statement, supporting thoughts, and a concluding sentence. Donald Trump can't put that together to save his life. We see it all the time in his press conferences. So the fact that he feels that he has something against President Barack Obama, that just gives his little bulliness, it just makes him feel good like he has something, because all he has is like AI images, and all he has is the hope that he can get Obama on something, because when he wanted to get Obama on his birth certificate, he couldn't. And so if he can somehow tarnish Obama's legacy as a president for committing treason, when we all know the only person that committed treason is Donald Trump when he forced that coup on January 6th. And it doesn't take away from the fact, Trump, we want those Epstein files. We want them. Drop them. If everything is okay, then why not? If you're not in the files, why not drop them? But that's the thing. He is in those files. And all he can do is deflect as much as he can to attempt to change the narrative. And it's on the media and everyday people to keep pressing him to release them goddamn Jeffrey Epstein files, because that's what the people want. This guy makes my blood pressure boil. But another thing that happened this week that was fairly interesting is Glorilla. Glorilla was arrested and booked this week for felony drug charges. And the way the story was presented, it made it seem like she got picked up and they found drugs on her. Or, you know, she was just lollygagging and doing dumb shit and she got caught with drugs, right? But once the facts of the case came out, then you realize, like, she's actually a victim. And not only was she a victim, she was kind of wrongfully arrested. So Glorilla's house was burglarized, right? And she was not home when her house was burglarized. 3 people tried to break in. Somebody that was there fired warning shots, and the guys got away. So the police were called to investigate the burglary. And while they were investigating, they smelled weed. And when they smelled weed, they called the drug task force, who then wanted her arrested, and she turned herself in. She's the victim. And this is really just a testament to a lot of times when Black women call the cops, they end up, something bad happens to them. And this is not the first time this has happened. So, and yes, I'm going to go there. So, prime example, when Sonia Massey called the cops in Chicago about an intruder in Illinois, she was killed by a cop. And all she had was boiling water, and rebuked the cop in the name of Jesus, and he shot her in the face. When Nayani Finlayson called the cops to report a domestic violence incident, she was killed in 2023 by a Los Angeles sheriff. When Tatiana Jefferson in Texas, police were called to her house for a welfare check because a neighbor reported her door was open and wanted to see if she was okay. And the cop that came to check on her shot her through her window while she was playing a video game. So, I'm taking it there because the fact that Glorilla was a victim and called the cops because her house was burglarized, and instead of them helping her and try to find who the fuck burglarized her house, they have her arrested? Like, that's the problem, is that Black women are not seen as victims. Black women are not seen as a damsel in distress, right? And when someone calls for help, and this is why sometimes, Black women don't call the cops. And again, this happens to Black men too. So I'm not, negating what happens to Black men, because I live in Las Vegas. There was just a Black man that was killed, I think, earlier this year when his home was broken into, and the cops killed him instead of finding who did it. And again, this is a problem where it's like, who is going to protect us if the people that we call to protect us just look at us like the assailant? And that's the fact that she even has a mugshot for something that was like in her home. She wasn't even home. Like, I could see if she called the cops, right? And when she called the cops, she had a blunt in hand and was smoking right in front of them. But at what point, does a cop give grace? Like, or at what point, it's like, and they still haven't found the guys that burglarized her home. So not only did the men get away with it, the cops just got points for completely finding something else. Like, they didn't even find what they were looking for. They literally just came in to take a report and find something else that was wrong. And this is an underlying problem when it comes to the relationship between Black people and the police department. And that needs to be fixed. Even the way the story was laid out, like everything was like, oh, Glorilla arrested for drug possession, Glorilla got picked up for drug possession. And again, to not even be in your house and then you get booked for something and have to turn yourself in where you're at, because she had to perform at the WNBA All-Star game. So she literally had to stop what she was doing to go turn herself into something that she was literally trying to just follow the law, to make sure that whatever happened with her house was handled appropriately. And then it's like when Black women don't go to the police, or they don't, file certain charges, or they don't, say, hey, they don't follow the legal protocol, then they're demonized for that. And there's a real serious issue within the justice system. And there's been a serious issue within the justice system. But again, that brings me back to my point, which is why I say we need our own towns. We need our own towns. We need our own policing, because, never forget, the Black Panther Party and even gangs were created, to protect their own. And I think that this is why we need to protect our own, hold ourselves accountable, because it's the luck of the draw when you involve law enforcement. And I think it's even more scary now, because when it comes to law enforcement, like, we don't know who's who. Even when it comes to, these white supremacist groups, these white nationalist groups, people that are getting hired, that are being hired for their aggression and, their clique. And I don't care if I sound a conspiracy theorist type, because when you think back to, like, there are so many investigations where a lot of, police are found to be, like, involved in white supremacist groups and these type of, white nationalist societies. And when you hear stories of how Black women are calling for help and they're being treated like they're the perpetrator, that's a serious fucking problem. And thank God Glorilla wasn't home when that happened, because if something worse would have happened, then, it'd be a different story. So I think we need to, start watching for more shit like this, because we should be able to call the cops to report a burglary or something happening within our home and not be worried about, oh shit, let me not call because I have weed in my closet and they may go through my closet and want to prosecute me for that, instead of finding who the fuck broke into my house. So we got to be fucking for real about the fuckery that goes on within these police departments and what our tax dollars are going to. Because one thing that is on Trump's agenda is police immunity. And if they're able to get away with shit like this without immunity, what's going to happen when they get that? So yeah, that's about it for our show today. More unfiltered takes, unapologetic truths. It's our Sunday sound off. I am Miss Anna, and I am going to see y'all. If you like, comment, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Talk to me, I talk back. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. And make sure y'all are back next week. See y'all next time.